Giyuu watched her from a distance as she sat in the grass, staring at the waterfall. He knew it was where she liked to go when she felt sad. She would sneak off, away from the others, thinking no one would notice, thinking he wouldn't notice, but he always did. He was as in tune with her emotions as if they coursed through his own body. He'd seen all the signs over the past few days, the way her mood shifted, the way she felt exhausted no matter how much rest she got, how every time they sparred he got the best of her, something he knew would not have happened if she'd been focused, if her mind wasn't somewhere else. Giyuu didn't ask her about it. He never did, because he didn't need to. He knew exactly where the bouts of sadness came from, but he knew even if he asked her, she wouldn't tell him. She assumed her answer would upset him, and she'd never heard him that way, but he knew. He'd have to be blind not to. She was mourning. They all were, but while it began to slowly subside for the rest of them, she still felt it like she got in the news yesterday. The hole she felt would never go away, and it wasn't one he could fill because it wasn't him that occupied it to begin with. Giyuu watched her as she curled in on herself, wrapped her arms around her body and buried her face in her legs. If the rushing of the waterfall hadn't been so prominent, he knew he would have heard her cry, but he knew that was why she'd chosen that spot. She didn't have to hold back her tears, didn't have to stifle herself. She didn't have to pretend to be strong in front of everyone else, in front of him, not that he ever needed her to be. Part of him wanted to bring it up, wanted to let her know he knew, that he suspected long before tragedy struck, but after it had, her feelings had been made clear. But he knew she would deny it, would claim it was nothing more than platonic sadness. She would lie to him to spare his feelings, and in doing so, she would hurt herself, so Giyuu kept quiet. He stayed for a bit longer before heading back to the mansion. He entered the bedroom and slipped back into bed, where he'd been when he felt her shifting restlessly, when she'd eventually gotten up and snuck out quietly. If tradition held, she'd be back in half an hour. As he waited, unable to fall asleep, he stared into the darkness, into the empty void around him, and wondered if this was how she felt, if the place in her heart that was now aching was as black as the room that surrounded him, if it felt as hollow and cold. Time ticked by, and the bedroom door opened, letting the smallest sliver of light into the room, and his mind immediately wondered if he was able to do that for her, if he was that sliver of light, the band-aid on her heart that kept her from falling apart fully. When she slid into bed and moved close to him, Giyuu turned and pulled her into his arms. "You're awake," she said softly into the quiet room. "I am." "Where did you go?" he asked, though he knew. "I couldn't sleep and needed some fresh air. I went to the waterfall for a bit." He knew she would tell him the truth. Aside from not divulging her feelings to him, she always told him the truth. "You want to talk about why you couldn't sleep?" He knew the answer to the question before he asked it. "I'm okay. Maybe some other time. I just want to sleep now." She snuggled closer to him, exhaling slowly, and Giyuu could only wonder if what she was expelling were feelings of guilt, ones she didn't need to have, to carry, if she would just talk to him, allow him to help. "I love you." He knew she did, but he knew she loved Rengoku too, and not knowing how to comfort her, her not trusting him enough to be honest with him continuously broke him. He held her tighter. "And I love you."